Hi there, Andy Farquharson here again, and welcome back to the next video in this series of a guide to selling your business to your employees with a better Monday. This video is going to be all about structuring the transaction. And so we're going to be looking at a few things. Firstly, let's look at who's involved. Okay, so we've got you, the seller. We're going to have the company, the main focus of this sort of target for the acquisition. We're going to have the debt providers. We're going to have a better Monday there as the transition owner as we transition towards the employees. And look, they are the most, I guess, obvious missing point here is that the employees are there, but the employees are going to highlight their importance and relevance in that post-transaction phase. And that's going to become clear as we sort of think about some other videos a little bit later. But if we go and have a look at, exit that video, and we want to come here, look at not the approach, just getting to the right video. So what we're going to have a look at now is the transaction levers. So what we're going to look at now are the different transaction levers that we've got during this during the structuring of this deal. So this has been informed by those steps that we've already done as part of this process. And so as we think about that, it's going to be like your ideal legacy, your financial requirements as you're moving into retirement, and then the company's finances. Once we start pulling those things together, we can then start thinking about how we want to start to structure the transaction. And there's a number of different elements that we can use to structure this appropriately. So the two main financial drivers that we've got is around what we're going to use for equity and then what we're going to be able to use for debt. Now, in a lot of employee-owned structures around the world, say in the UK, they only use debt. And they only use this particular form of debt, which is around seller financing, where they effectively defer almost a large proportion of the payment gets deferred and gets paid out each year over the next 7 to 15 years. So this is the most popular way in the UK, and it also provides about 50% of the way in the States. Seller equity is another one of those tools which can be used in different parts of the mix, and we'll talk about one of those in an example that we're going to run through shortly. Then we think about the other elements of the stack. Starting on the equity side, we've got a better Monday. Our model actually has us participating as a majority owner, so we can play a role in that transition to be able to move the deal forward. And then we've got the senior debt. So this is the debt that we're going to be getting from local lending institutions to support the transaction. And then lastly, there are some instances where we'll be looking to engage with relevant industry experts as investors to be able to bring them on to help the company thrive. And there may be a need for additional debt, mezzanine debt, which is subordinated to the senior debt. So these are all of the financial elements which are coming into play. But that's not all. Timing is also another critical component. What do you want your commitment to be post-close? What is the debt serviceability of the company? How much profit is it making? And what is the sort of debt service coverage ratios? And ultimately, what is the company's performance and projections looking like over the next 2 years? The next few years, because I alluded to when I was talking about the seller finance, some of those other models. Here we see an opportunity to really align the sale that's going to be best to meet your objectives. And that may be taking the sale over a longer period of time based off the company performance and having those caveats in there that if the company's not performing to a level that we need, then you can forego particular payments. And there's been so many examples of very successful companies going down this path. One of those is Riverford Organics. So this is a UK company, and founder Guy Singh Watson started it back in 1987. Grew the business amazingly well to over 100 million pounds of revenue and 1,100 employees. But he wanted to exit to his employees. He knew that he wanted to preserve the culture. He wanted to reward those employees who have been incredibly loyal to him, and he wanted to embed the business within the local communities, which is so important, especially once you go and check out the product. So in 2018, what he ended up doing was selling 74% of the company to an employee-owned trust. So this is where we sort of look at that mix between the seller equity and also the seller finance. He actually he sort of leveraged seller financing and also just didn't sell like that 26% of his equity. So they were able to do that, leveraging that with some additional debt. The company then performed really, really well in those stages, and so he was able to then proceed with the rest of the transaction, beyond beyond sort of the being a minority stakeholder at sort of 26% of the company. He then exited 100%. That 5 years later in 2023. So hopefully that gives you a bit of understanding that there is a lot of flexibility when we're trying to structure a deal. It doesn't just have to be in the same very consistent way that you might have seen in the media, but this is that we've got the flexibility to align the exit to meet your goals, because that's a key of what we're trying to achieve. So in our next video, what we're going to be diving into is the company structure that we use to transition this ownership to the employees. Okay, we'll see you there.